So most people think that your gut health is largely about digestion, but your gut is the control center for almost everything. And it has become a lot more common knowledge nowadays, just the extent at which your gut can influence different areas of your health and including your mental health and things like that. And just to kind of highlight how important it is, about 70% of your immune system or your immune cells, shall we say, live in your gut. Like that in itself is wild, and about 90 to 95% of serotonin is produced in the gut, among many other things. So when it is balanced, you've got energy, you've got good focus, good mood regulation, clear skin, just to name a few of the things, good immunity, you don't get sick as often. But when it's off, you will feel it everywhere because it impacts so many different systems within our body. Now, the problem is that a lot of the foods that are marketed as healthy are quietly throwing that system off balance without you even being aware of it. And sometimes it's things that are actually promoted as gut healthy that can do that. So I want to talk about the ones that might be wrecking your gut despite being advertised as healthy or gut friendly. So let's start off with a classic, which is the granola bar or muesli bar, depending on where you are in the world and what you call it. Now, a common one that is common around the world as well, at least in America and in Australia, is the Nature Valley muesli bar. And this, I used to love this back in the day. I thought it was healthy and I ate it all the time until I realized it wasn't. But it's the marketing that makes it seem that way because they market it as a natural energy bar made from whole grain and oats and real nuts. So I get it, that sounds healthy, right? Until you actually read the label. In the first 3 ingredients alone, you've got glucose syrup and sugar, both refined carbohydrates that hit your bloodstream fast, so you get the spike in the blood sugars. And of course, ingredients are listed in order of quantity as well. So when sugar shows up at the top or even near the top, that means that there's more of it than almost anything else in the bar and at least anything below it, right? And in these particular bars, while your blood sugar spikes, so does something else that you can't necessarily see, but you may feel in the long run, changes in your gut microbiome. So research from Nature and PNA shows that diets high in added sugar and low in fiber reduce beneficial species in the gut, like Akkermansia and bifidobacteria. These are ones that protect your gut lining and actually help to lower inflammation. Now, at the same time as high sugar diets lowering these beneficial bacteria, they can also create conditions that less beneficial inflammation-linked species love or they thrive in, and therefore results in them multiplying. So not only does that affect inflammation, but it also creates a less diverse gut and a less resilient gut because of that. So even though the Nature Valley muesli bars are marketed as fuel, what your gut actually gets is it's anything but that. It's chaos. It's a quick burn of glucose, it's a starving of your fiber-loving microbes, and a hit of industrial oils that they can't actually use to top it off. So now that is only one example of a muesli bar or granola bar that is marketed as healthy. There are so many more, but that is one that is common, like I said, so I wanted to highlight that. Now there's a very, very easy, simple fix for this so that you don't spend hours searching the aisle in the grocery store just to find one half decent muesli bar. And that is to make your own bars. And I know so many people are going to roll their eyes at that, but it really doesn't need to be complicated. You could use rolled oats, chia seeds, nut butter, and a drizzle of honey. Simple as that. You'll feed the good guys in your gut, you keep your blood sugar stable, and you actually feel that steady energy that these other companies are promising but not delivering on. It's not going to wreck your gut in the long run either, because the thing with our gut is everything that we put in our mouth influences the diversity, the types of microbes that are living in there and the byproducts that they create, which links to everything else. So if you think every time you're putting food in your mouth, you're like, oh, it's just once, it doesn't matter, it is impacting it in some way. And so the more you do that, the worse it is. The less you do that and the more whole foods and diversity that you get in your diet, the better your gut will be, and therefore the better you will be and feel in general, okay? Now, if you were really wanting to buy one, go for one with minimal ingredients in it, or, minimal to no added sugars in there and made from real foods. If you don't understand what it is on the ingredient list, then don't go for it. If it says things like natural flavors, do you even know what that is? Because a lot of the time I don't even know what that is. So skip it if you can. I always think if you can make it at home and it doesn't take long, then you're better off doing that because you know exactly what's going into it. Okay, so next up we have oat milk. It's the barista's favorite and it's marketed as the healthier plant-based alternative to dairy. So a lot of people think that oat milk is a healthy alternative, and the sad truth is that it isn't, and most commercial oat milks are more like a glucose shake with oil added to it than a health drink. So oats are naturally carb heavy, and there's nothing wrong with carbs necessarily if you don't have diabetes, or you don't need to watch your blood sugars closely. But when they are processed into milk, the oats, those carbs turn into simple sugars, and simple sugars spike your blood sugars much more rapidly, and especially when things like enzymes are used to sweeten the flavor. Now, one study found that oat milk caused higher post-meal glucose spikes or rises compared to low-fat cow's milk. And that makes sense because, as I said, it's broken down into simple sugars. Now, over time, that blood sugar roller coaster can lead to insulin resistance, for example, and can also cause gut inflammation. And then there's the emulsifiers in it, right, like dipotassium phosphate or gellan gum. And animal studies suggest that certain emulsifiers like these can disrupt the gut barrier and also alter the microbiome composition when consumed regularly. Now, I'm not saying that every additive is harmful, but when your gut's already inflamed or it's sensitive, it all adds up. Now, in saying that, that doesn't mean that oat milk is evil either. It just means that most commercial ones aren't made with your gut in mind. If you love it, like you really cannot go without oat milk, then look for brands that have no added oils, no gums, and no enzymes or sugar added to it. Or again, better yet, make your own at home with simply oats and water and a dash of salt. There's no glucose syrup in there and no other things that can cause gut irritation, just real food. I would honestly suggest going for a different milk entirely, but I know there are some people that do really love their oat milk, so that's my suggestion for you if that is you. All right, so the next one I want to go over is Diet Coke or Coke Zero or Pepsi Max, diet versions of these sodas. So 0 sugar and 0 calories, it sounds like the perfect swap, right? But here's what the label doesn't tell you. Artificial sweeteners don't just trick your taste buds, they can actually trick your gut as well. So surprisingly, your gut bacteria actually have sensors for sweetness too. And studies in Nature show that sweeteners like sucralose and aspartame can alter the composition of your microbiome, even though they don't contain actual sugar. And in mice and in human studies, these changes were actually linked to glucose intolerance as well, meaning that even without that sugar, your body can actually start responding as if it's getting some. And that's also been linked to insulin resistance. And so the whole point of not having sugar in it is kind of counterproductive from that respect. Now, there's also evidence that artificial sweeteners can reduce the levels of beneficial bacteria like lactobacillus and bifidobacterium, while increasing those inflammation-related strains, as I said earlier on, I think with the granola bars, I mentioned it then. So what I'm saying by all of this is that your gut's ecosystem becomes less diverse and therefore more stressed and more reactive as well, which is the exact opposite of what we want for a strong microbiome. And by the way, when I say microbiome, I probably should have explained this at the start, but if you're not sure what that means, I'm basically just referring to the environment within your gut that the bacteria live in. So it's just another way of saying that essentially. So what would be the Renegade move here? If you love the fizz and you can't go without that, then just try something as simple as sparkling water with something like lemon added to it or natural flavor drops. You'll still get the satisfaction of having that fizziness, but minus the gut confusion. Or if you're having it all the time, just try and cut down on how often you're having these drinks. Because, the truth is your gut is going to be affected every time you have these. So the less you have it, the better. So now we know, even the drinks that promise to help you cut sugar can end up confusing your gut and negatively impacting your health as a result of that. But here's where the real irony actually comes in. Some of the foods that promote gut health might actually be killing the very bacteria that you're trying to feed and keep around. So let's talk about yogurt. Now, these two brands are again common around the world, and they are not the only brands that promote themselves as gut healthy and friendly that maybe aren't so much healthy and friendly. There are many others, but they are just, like I said, common ones. So I want to highlight a few things within them now. The ones I'm referring to are Activia and Chobani, and both of these ones do market themselves as gut friendly and that they're packed with live cultures and probiotics. But again, when you actually flip the label and you delve a little bit deeper, you'll see that in the US, Activia still packs around 12 to 15 grams of sugar per cup, at least what I found on the internet. And here in Australia, they've actually swapped the sugar for sweeteners and gums instead. Still ultra processed, just dressed differently essentially. Now Chobani, it does say that it has live cultures in it, but most of their flavored yogurts are loaded with sugar and thickeners and natural flavors that your gut just doesn't love. So all of that added sugar or sweetener feeds the wrong microbes, or overfeeds them really. So studies show that high sugar diets shift the microbiome towards more inflammation-linked bacteria, which I mentioned earlier. Well, I mentioned that with the sweeteners, but also high sugar diets, while crowding out beneficial bacteria like lactobacillus and bifidobacterium. So basically, the more that you feed certain types of species, the less diverse your gut gets because they can't all fit within your gut. So some of those good ones or the beneficial ones get pushed out. And even though both of these yogurt brands list live cultures, a lot of those probiotics don't actually survive the processing and the storage or stomach acid even, meaning that only a small fraction ever actually reach your colon alive. So the yogurts that are marketed to heal your gut might actually be feeding the problem instead of making it better. But if you want to choose one that actually is good, just opt for something that is plain, full-fat Greek yogurt with live cultures listed on the label, and add your own fruit or drizzle of honey if you want to instead. And that way, you're feeding your gut bacteria, but you're not falling victim to the marketing. And you know exactly what is in it as well. A brand in Australia that I particularly love is the Baramba yogurt. They have an original flavor. It's not a Greek yogurt because I personally don't love Greek yogurts. So if you are similar to me in that way, then Baramba is a good brand. The original yogurt is literally just like a plain yogurt, but it doesn't have the same bitterness as the Greek yogurt. Very minimal ingredients in it as well. You'll understand everything that is in it. And then if you wanted one with a touch of sweetness in it, there is a honey flavor one, which I absolutely love. And it's just real honey that's been added to it essentially. So those are some other options if you're in Australia. I'm not sure if that is available anywhere else in the world. Okay. So moving on, let's finish with breakfast, because this is where most people unknowingly start their day feeding the wrong bacteria. So Kellogg's Sustain is one of those ones that to some may look like a premium option because it's got whole grains and fruit and nuts and iron and other vitamins in there as well, and all things that we've been told make a healthy cereal. But again, you flip the label and you will see that sugar is the second ingredient after wheat, which means that it's in a large amount. Even if it says like 50% wheat, that's still a large amount of sugar to come in second place. So these may be marketed as wholesome fuel, but a lot of the time what your gut gets is another dose of those refined carbs and sugar, which is the perfect combo to also spike your blood sugar level, your blood glucose, and feed the inflammation-linked bacteria. Then you can add in canola oil and synthetic vitamins, and you've got what researchers call an ultra-processed food. So it's not just the sugar, it's kind of the whole thing really, all of these extra processed things. And that means that it's been stripped and refined and reassembled in a way that's biologically unfamiliar to your gut, and so it's not helpful by any means. So ultra-processed cereals are linked to higher rates of gut inflammation, poorer metabolic health, and even reduced microbial diversity, which is no surprise. The exact opposite, all of those things, right, of what healthy breakfast should do. So if you actually want a gut-loving breakfast, then just skip all the pre-packaged stuff if you can, aside from just buying simple things like rolled oats. And then you can mix it with things like chia seeds and flax seeds and berries and Greek yogurt, for example. Real food really doesn't need to be complicated either. I think people view it as, oh, it's going to take so much time. It's literally going like this, putting it in a bowl or a container and taking it to work. It really is not complicated. The negative health things that you're going to have to deal with down the track if you keep eating this ultra processed crap is going to be far more complicated than assembling a few things in a bowl. So no more excuses. And honestly, if I can do it, then you definitely can too, because I am what I call, well, I'm self-diagnosing myself as a lazy healthy girl, meaning I don't want to be spending hours and hours in the kitchen. And I never really have particularly loved cooking or baking, but I do it because I care about my health. So you can do it too. So all of this to say, basically, if your gut's been off, if you've got low energy, if you've got brain fog, cravings, bloating, all of these kind of things. It's not just the obvious things like junk food or no exercise or whatever. It's everyday stuff marketed as healthy as well. But the good news about all of this is that you can actually change your gut fairly fast as well, within days actually, of switching to real fiber-rich whole food and having diversity too. Your bacteria start to rebalance within a few days of eating like that. And by doing so, your body, it just needs the right environment to do what it already knows how to do. And you'll find that a lot of those symptoms with time and consistency may go away. Because when your gut is thriving, everything else changes. Your focus, your energy, even your mood, your mental health, all of these things are affected by your gut. And that's the power of understanding how food really works with your body. That's why I always go on about these ultra processed foods too, because it's not just the fact that they were designed to hijack a lot of our natural bodily systems, but they also affect your gut health. And I don't know about you, but I would much rather have energy and be in a good mood and have good health so I can actually enjoy life. All right, so that is all for this video. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, please make sure that you like the video and subscribe to my channel if you want more science-backed nutrition with the Renegade twist. Then don't forget to do that, and comment below too if you want to ask any questions or have any suggestions or anything along those lines. All right, I will see you in the next video.